You know it.
Hello. We are fired up today.
Yes, we are. It's Monday Madness.
Monday. Boy, that's an old song.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I forget how old I am. Somebody asked me about something in the 60s, and I'm thinking, oh, let me see. Oh, they must be about 50 something. I'm like, wait a minute. I've been married 54 years. So.
Well, I used to even like old songs, though. I liked 50s and 40s songs even when I was younger. So I've always liked them. I wasn't there when they were first written and first sang, but I love them.
I love some of the old songs.
One of my favorites is Moon River.
One of mine is East is East and West is West. We could have her sing some for us because she might actually know them. You know,
she might, but then I can. Then there's some days that she's like, I do not have any idea what you're thinking about.
I can tell you a funny story about that.
Okay.
On Friday, we, with the seniors, we walk.
Okay.
For about a half hour. And we try to provide, if you need to sit, you can come in here and sit down. And then the rest of the class is a big rubber bouncy ball sitting in a chair. And people look at us like, you play bouncy ball? Yes, we play bouncy ball because it increases your reflexes. And if it hits you, it doesn't hurt at all. But I have some funny little hard hats that we can put on. It looks cute. So we asked that Alexa. And she was just sitting there, and I happened to say, bouncy ball. And all of a sudden, she's playing this kid's song, Bouncy Ball. And we're like, okay. So it's over. And then one of the other ladies said, hey, play Bouncy Ball. Sorry, can't find it. Like, you just played it. But we think she got angry because we told her to be quiet.
Well, you know, we women don't like to be told what to do too often, right?
She has an attitude.
Some days she needs chocolate.
Some days she needs to sit in the corner. We had, as we exercised this morning, and it's Monday, November 7th, and it is
August.
No, I want to be November. No, August, yes.
Well, if it is, then I shouldn't be here because I think
Why am I thinking November?
I think I've got somewhere to be on.
Why is it August? Yes. November. That just skipped 2 months. I think it's because I got birthdays in between. Anyway, August or November, whatever month it is.
But it's the 7th. You're right.
It is the 7th.
And it is Monday.
I don't know why I said no.
It's okay.
I'm still at the play from yesterday. Anyway, where was it going? So, I forgot. I asked her to play it this morning, and she did get it. But she has an attitude. Definitely attitude. On August 7th, this morning, when we were doing stretching and exercising.
If you don't say it exactly correctly to her, she will not answer you either. She's just like, talk to the hand, talk to the hand.
Do we have to use the proper pronoun?
I hadn't thought about that yet. Okay.
So I asked her this one. I said, could I have meditative music? And she's playing for like 45 minutes because we do an hour. And we don't have much stopping time. We don't stop and, okay, kid, we stop and blow our nose. That's basically what we do. Okay, 30 seconds, blow your nose, get it clean, quick, we're back up. And all of a sudden she just stopped. Just no sound at all. And I'm thinking she's listening to us. She's listening to whatever we're talking about, right? And then all of a sudden she started up again. And I'm curious because I'm wondering that we were talking about one of our ladies has a carry permit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So she can carry a concealed weapon. All right. And I'm wondering if she was actually listening to that.
She could be
because there might have been a code word that look into that code word if you hear something about pistols or guns or whatever and listen into that. I guess I'm so suspicious.
I'm right there with you.
I'm like,
My husband, when he comes home and sees her glowing, he's like, he'll rip her little thing. I said, she's just giving me a notification. She's not getting ready to land.
Time to order your figs. Does she do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she does it to me. Do you want me to? No, don't. I will order them when I want to so I can keep track of what I'm spending. Anyway, we were talking about, and that's an excellent topic too. And this, now remember, I'm talking about retired. I don't think there's anyone that's exercising with us who's not on Medicare. So I'll tell you the age group we're talking about, up to 80 plus. All right. And this woman says that everyone should have a concealed carry permit, just so you can voice your rights to the Second Amendment in an actual permit.
Okay.
Because numbers count.
Mm-hmm.
They really count. And that's probably when she's soaking this up to find out who's the people, who are these people talking about that. And then I went on to explain that it is really good to be educated in something that you really don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than just complain or poo-poo or go against it, find out a little bit about it. And getting educated, most people are anti-guns, a lot of them. I don't want to say most, but a lot of them, let's not do such an extreme, are anti-guns because number one, they kill people. Well, so do cars, because they just had that, where was it, Japan? Where the guy drove into a crowd and then got out with a knife and stabbed like 16, 18 people.
I haven't heard that one. Okay.
I think it was someplace over in Asia. So, what are you going to do? Ban cars? Ban trucks? Ban planes? We've known what that's done. It's taken down, buildings with several people in it. And it's not the weapon that's doing it. It's the person behind it.
And the heart.
Yes,
Because if it's just laying over there on a shelf and it never gets taken off, it's not going to do, it can't do anything. It doesn't do anything. So, it is the person.
Yes. And so therefore, education is extremely important.
Responsibility, though.
Yes, you have to. And that comes with teaching the children. Is it yours? Is it not yours? If it's not yours, don't you dare touch it.
Well, years ago when my husband was coming up, my dad, we never had guns in the house, but we were military and he probably just didn't.
Well, he was military right there.
But my husband says that, around here and most around this area and stuff, I guess, when he was younger, so we're talking years ago, that all your parents had to do was say, do not touch it. And
That's right.
Do not touch it.
You do not touch it. Exactly.
And so it was a part of the responsibility of the adult. It was how the child understood what they were supposed to do, and that they knew that the parent was going to get them if they, it's really different.
It is different, and a lot of that comes with the easing of discipline. And oh, my poor little child, how dare you? Don't.
But you know yourself though. You don't leave just knives lying around your house.
No.
You put them up.
And I have safety hooks on doors
for the little kids.
And I did it with our children. And you have the plugs on the plugs.
So you do things but you also teach them, if they see a knife, don't be doing that. Now, because, as my grandkids have been coming up, they've been helping me cut vegetables. So they learn how to use a knife.
That's right.
Don't always give them the sharpest one and the longest one when they're little.
None with a little pointy scissors,
So, so it's how you learn. It's what you're told.
It's all in the education.
But there are some people that teach their kids even how to use dangerous things just so they're prepared even when they're younger. Because you think about the frontier people, they had to learn how to use guns. They had to learn to use.
We took our children out. And I'm not sure, our daughter might have been about 5 and our son was like 7. And we took them out in the woods with a pistol to show them, number one thing with pistols, they're very, well, any of the bigger calibers, very loud.
Mm-hmm.
And they hurt your ears. I mean, so, if you're really going to do something, you have noise protectors on your ears. But if you really want to scare them, you don't put those on. All you need to do is shoot once, and it's like, whoa, because that's scary right there. And then you show them what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they learn a healthy respect. Now, will it work with every child?
No, it's not.
It's not going to work with every child.
No,
it's not going to work with every children. But it has a lot to do with the parenting and what they're doing and the respect. And I was telling, so we were going off a little bit on a tangent that some people here, well, they've never fired a gun, they don't know how. One has one, doesn't know how to use it. Now, that's scary to have it and not know how to use it.
Yes, if you're going to have it, you should know how to use it. You
should know how to
clean
use
it. You know how to load it. You need to know everything about it.
Everything about it.
And you need to practice with it, which is something I don't do.
I don't do enough, and
I don't do enough.
I don't know.
If you do something enough, you'll forget how to do it.
You forget. But to me, just handling one, I like to be really cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's just, it's something you have to train for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a class you have to train for. And we took a class several years ago when in Virginia, our concealed carry permit was not reciprocated by other states because of what our governor did.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant if we traveled out of state, west or south, we couldn't carry. Utah, the state of Utah has a program, and they are recognized by almost every state from here, Virginia to Utah. So you could drive all the way across to Utah. And they had that class at the Bass Pro Shop. It was about $100 a person. It was a full day. Excellent class. Excellent class. And I'm not saying that you need to take it because you're going to buy a gun.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take it to be educated about them.
Mm-hmm. And to see how people that are getting the concealed are being taught or should be being taught.
Excellent point.
Because,
yes.
People think that you just go up there and you get it, but you can't.
No, you can't.
You have to have a class.
It was excellent.
And there are various classes, and different teachers teach different ways. We had ours at Arrowhead, and the people were very good. Yeah, it was NRA people. But they were very, very good, and they were very thorough, and they let us, we were able to test some pistols to see which ones worked out better, because depending on your hands and how you can hold,
absolutely.
You can't go out here.
Did they have field training too?
We did.
Oh, see,
and so we got the field training. That was part of it. I think it was like a 2-day class or day and a half.
Excellent.
And so if you don't understand that we are trained, and we probably ought to have renewal classes just to keep up.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's how it's not like it is on TV people. You can't always just pick up a gun and shoot it. Because some of them are some of those I couldn't even mash it and do it.
You can't,
because
the trigger pull and the
everything.
slide.
And so I had to find the one that suited me.
That's right.
We had to test it, but then they taught us how to take it apart.
Clean it, put it back. My thing is, and we've had friends who will shoot and then the husband cleans the gun. To me, you need to take care of your own weapon so you can appreciate what it is, how it works, And to me, it's like a puzzle. I like cleaning them. It's relax. I like hoppies. I love the smell of hoppies. Ew, the hoppy. It has a clean odor. Anyway, so I'm hoping, if Arrowhead, because we belong to Arrowhead Rod and Gun Club, I'm going to keep an eye to see if they run those classes again, because I think several of our people here would probably like to go and take that class.
Well, and that's something too, that being a member too, you could take people up there and have a day to practice shooting. My husband has actually taken some women that have recently gotten guns, and they're not sure, but he takes them up there.
You can go there,
and he
yes.
hooks them. So
he's a member too?
It
Yeah,
might
we
be
are too.
something that, could be done.
And I was thinking that, I will talk to my husband about it, because that would be because they have a
It's
nice
very
range.
beneficial.
And it's yeah, it is. And we had to take classes while in New York, because we had our concealed carry in upstate New York back in the 70s. And where we live, you could only have so many pistols on your permit, and that was it. And you had to have your fingerprints done. You have to have the whole background check done. You can't just go in there and say, I want a gun. Hello, no.
No, I mean, to buy the gun, you have to do it. And some days, because they don't just give you a gun.
No, they don't. And
even to get my concealed carry, I think we filled out everything, and then we had to come back. I think they notified us that it was back, because they have to do a background check.
Yeah, they do everything.
So,
yep.
It's not what people think. What you're dealing with people is you're dealing with the black market, and they're always going to be able to find.
They're always going to get them.
Yes.
We were watching a show, and TV shows tend to push that, they can just get a gun. And one of the shows that we quit watching some of these, because this truckload of guns ended up in New York, and they came from Virginia. I'm like, really, folks? You've got a truckload of guns and they came from Virginia. Because that's their thoughts, that we do not go through all these things. Well, we do.
Mm-hmm. Now, do people slide through? Of course. Because if there's nothing to trigger when you get the background check done, if there's nothing there to trigger anything, because you've not been convicted of anything, you've not been charged with anything, it's not going out there to look and see if you stole a piece of gum.
That's right.
You were 2 years old.
It's not.
It's looking for, it's what's in a database somewhere. So if you are not in that database,
forget it.
And while we're on it, this is a good time. I know this is a serious subject, but this is a good time. These people that want to have that, I think it's the red flag. In it, the red flag, to where, anything mental.
Oh, yeah. Red flag people. I think that's no longer. Are they working on it in our state? I think we dumped that off. I think that's been dumped out.
Well, it should be, because
it should be.
That is
red flag laws.
It is very dangerous, people, when you start. You've got to be very careful how you start deeming people mentally incompetent, because those fingers that you're pointing, you got 3 pointing back at you, that could easily be.
That's right.
Because all it takes is for you to go off sometime in a grocery store or somewhere somebody has done ticked you off and made you mad.
And
somebody could turn you in because you are angry and aggressive and everything. And you might have even slapped somebody, who knows? But that does not mean that you're mentally, or that you're like a danger.
Incompetent.
Or a danger.
Yeah, you're not
you had a moment.
It's a grudge. They took a grudge or some imagined slight.
Well, one of the things that I think about too is because you think about people going through an ugly divorce.
Oh, yeah.
They will
that
use
happens.
anything on anybody.
Yeah.
And then you regret it later, because now your kids have gone through all this stuff.
And you've dragged them in.
But people do things, like you said, out of revenge, or they say things, or they try to get people in trouble because they're mad at them. But then you realize you went too far. But then you go too far with this. And then you've got somebody scarred and marked for life. So you really have to be careful. I'm not saying that there's not mental issues and that you have to.
You got your arrow on it. Yeah, mental. It was pointing to your forehead. She does not have mental issues. She does not have mental issues.
Well, I'm sure
that
that's
we
debate.
know
I'm
about.
sure that's,
probably
there's
debate about
nothing
that.
in a database.
There's nothing to be. But
But I mean,
yeah.
there are
Oh,
issues that need to be addressed, but they need to be addressed appropriately. But I'm just saying, people,
in other words,
some
when
of
that
you,
happens, take a breath.
and you really need oars here. Observe,
Observe, assess,
assess,
and
and then
then
react,
react.
because you could mess up someone's life forever. So, when you start playing around with all this stuff, you've got to look at everything.
Because those red flag laws are, and any given day, boy, if I think about that, because I'm sure there's a couple people who are upset with me for doing my job that somebody told me, I was designated to do, and they really ticked. They could have done that.
Well, think about this also. And this is not, I'm not saying this to discredit anybody. I'm saying this because it's a fact in the United States where we live right now. Think about how many people are on a antidepressant. You're doing it because you're trying to get help. But if they're going to mark you or flag you, and think about, you got people that have come back from overseas, PTSD, they need something. They're not necessarily a danger. They've been over there in some stuff that we can't even imagine. So, like I said, you've really just got to be super careful what you're condemning.
And
Because
sometimes,
you don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
I don't know what I'm talking
for
about.
a while there, they were going after all the military
because of the
because of that.
PTSD.
Yes, and you could have that. You could suffer from that from a bad car accident.
A rape victim.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Somebody that's been in a violent crime. Somebody that's
Yeah,
been through an abusive situation.
Yeah, you can't just isolate them.
You cannot isolate, and you cannot condemn somebody that's trying to get help. And if this is what gets them help, and it makes their life, then you can't be looking. Like I said, you just got to be really careful what we allow people to start delving into and looking into.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
and I want people that are going to be looking at it with thought and concern.
Observe, assess, and react.
I don't want you doing it just because you have a job title in the state. You need to really be looking into what you're condemning and what you're doing. So, I mean, it's just a real pet peeve with me.
Yeah, we went from one thing to another, and they're all related. I watch, when I'm busy doing my canning and stuff, I've been watching Unusual Suspects.
Okay.
And it turns out that the suspect is somebody that may have only committed that once. Just once. And went on to live their life for 30 some years.
And they were fine. I mean, everything was good or nothing else on there.
Yes, except for this murder. Although one that I did see involved a police officer who was involved with the drug kingpin. And the police officer was one of the big kingpins. And he was number 2 in law enforcement for that city. And he's the one who committed the murder. And it was but they never caught him until about 30 years later.
What you're saying to me is, it's like you really, the old saying, you can't judge a book by the cover.
That's right.
And because it's the ones you do least expect that will fool you.
That's what these unusual suspects, that's what it really comes out to. And I know that probably say, oh, you watched it. I watch it because it's a study of humanity
and human behavior
and how, again, observe, assess, and react. I am watching this, I'm observing, thinking, if we can tell our children, our grandchildren, you really have to be cautious.
Yes.
And you have to be prepared. And I'm sorry, but I am a proponent of self-defense. And no one really, you can't poo-poo it with me. And of course, I'm singing to the choir here because you and I think the same way. And I know your husband probably, if you brought that thing up about the aliens, yeah, I'm looking for a weapon. That's my first thing. So a lot of our exercises that we do here are self-defense moves.
Okay.
And I will show them how they work, because you're only limited by your imagination, and you're limited to think that you're helpless all the time. You're not always helpless. You're not always helpless.
No, and they say that all of us, has it in us probably to commit murder if we had to.
If you had to protect a loved one,
If there's given the right circumstances. I mean, there's most of us are just going to live our life and not go out there and not going to do that.
No,
But
'cause
if you're
I don't wanna
given
look
the
at me.
right circumstance,
you go after a loved one. Yes.
or for me, probably, I think about too, just an innocent victim. I mean, if
Well,
it's somebody if somebody's
You're gonna
doing me-
protect
yes,
those, yes.
yeah. I mean, it's just, but but like I said, most of us are not going to do it, but we have it in us if we, and I keep going, I probably don't,
But you would.
but giving the right circumstances,
Be in a
like you said,
classroom.
that person that did this and never did anything else the rest of their life, they must have had a right circumstance or something happened, but anyway.
He was 17 when he did it. So he wasn't thinking with his brain, obviously. We're almost done. Boy, he did really good. Oh,
But that's usually what happens,
in
though. When you murder.
education, if you're the teacher in the classroom, how many teachers, they're the front line in that classroom.
Mhm.
And they're put on the line. If you have a lockdown, we've had a lockdown where I was, and we did have a kid coming in. Yeah, I was on his hit list.
But nowadays, you think about what the teachers go through that you never had to even deal with.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the one teacher in Virginia Beach, I mean, it's, that she got shot and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
When it a kindergartner? It was a young kid. I know, it's either kindergarten or first grade, but I mean, who would even think or imagine that?
I know.
But it was not, I mean, the child should have never been able to find a gun.
Nope. Again, comes back
And should have
to
known not to touch it to start with.
not
And,
yours.
it comes back to also, we didn't even allow, and then we did not allow, yes, our son played with guns, but they could not play shooting each other. Because as a kid, you do
It
not
builds
know,
up, yes.
well, you do not know the line
Between
reality
yes.
when
Yep.
you're younger.
Yep.
So it was like, no, you can play like you're shooting animals, you can play like you're shooting this,
Mhm.
but we would not let them play
Shooting
that they were
yep.
shooting people. But I'm not when he was young,
Yeah.
because kids don't know
They
that
don't-
line.
yeah,
and
they
now
don't-
that
yeah.
they're playing these video games,
Oh my
they
gosh,
think
video
that somebody
games are.
gets back up, and I do feel like some of those are harming
I'm
kids.
sure. I mean,
Because
it's warped
human
our
life is
mind.
valuable. You don't get it back once it's gone.
Mm-mm.
So, you've got to be taught that as you're
Yep.
coming along.
Again,
So,
education.
but very good. All right.
Ash and Soot.
Ash and Soot. You'll never know what's going to be on the next one.
Who knows?
I got so many things going up here now. Where's
I let
my
her
little
feed
cursor?
it in, and we just go.
All right. See y'all later.
Yeah.